And good morning, friends. Welcome to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Our number today and every day, 844-236-6010. If you have questions, comments, success stories you'd like to share, or if you just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number, and we definitely love to hear from you, 844-236-6010. If you want to purchase longevity products, go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And if you want to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team and start a home-based business, you can click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can also call 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470. We have Cindy Dale coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get your calls next segment, 844-236-6010. Cindy is a author of multiple books, 20-plus books, all involving intuition and energy anatomy, as she calls it. She also has a 12-week program beginning today, Advanced Radical Energy Medicine. We're going to talk about illness from a holistic sensing and even energy perspective. That's really, we'll say, psychic energy perspective. There's psychic energy, and then there's physical energy. It's still all energy. Psychism is energy, and the physical world is energy, and there's psychic health and there's physical health, just like there's psychic energy and physical energy, and that's because health is energy. Health is an energetic phenomenon. Surprise, surprise. Everything is energy. It's all about energy. We've been studying or focusing on this program now for months on this idea of lipophilicity, fat solubility. The reason why fats are different from water is because of energy. Water conducts energy, fats store. I should say water conducts energy, fats store energy. Water conduct energy, fats store energy. And fats have an ability to release energy from storage. They semi-conduct. Water conducts, fats semi-conduct to one degree or another. Some fats don't conduct at all. They're insulators. But the fats that we've been talking about are the fats that semi-conduct. Semiconductors are a fundamental phenomena in information processing. You have semiconductor in electronics, in energy. Electricity is energy. Semiconduction is a very important part of energy. Energy's understanding this thing called energy is key to understanding how the body works. Understanding disease is energy. Disease is an energetic phenomena. Health is an energetic phenomena. We live in a world of energy. We don't pay attention to it, except we pay attention to its effects. Medicine doesn't work because it pays attention to the effects of energy disruption. It doesn't pay attention to the energy. The whole phenomena, the concept of energy. I like chemistry and I like quantum because these are fundamental places where energy works. Quantum is where energy, invisible energy, turns into visible energy. It's at the level of the quantum, and you start to work with it at the level of chemistry. That's why I like chemistry, and that's why I like electronics, or quantum is electronics. Psychology, by the way, is also energy. Psychism is also energy, and psychic is a part of psychology. Psychology is the study of the psyche. Psychism is the use of the psyche, we'll say. Psychology is the study of it. Chemistry and the psyche have something in common, and so does good health, and so does disease. It's all called energy. Energy is power, or the ability, or the capacity to do work. In biology, the energy that we talk about is bioenergy, bioenergetics. And bioenergetics is something that's just now, not even just now, it's still on the fringes. But it was really on the fringes when we really started to talk about it, bioenergetics, this concept of bioenergetics and good health, probably the turn of the century, around the year 2000. It started to get popular, maybe the 90s. In the 90s is when I first started hearing about it. But it didn't really get going until the 2000s, and that's the idea that we should be working and focusing on energy at the cell level if we want to be healthy. Cellular energetics. Cells are batteries. Cells they store energy, and they conduct energy, and they process energy, and they work with energy, and they release energy, and they do everything with energy just like a battery does. They are batteries, and they have a voltage. And facilitating the energetics of the cells, what it's all about. You got to figure out, we got to maximize the cell's ability to generate and conduct energy. The more energy cells have, the more bioenergy we have as a biological being, as a composite. Think about the body as a composite of all these batteries. parallel processing batteries working in tandem. And if each battery is around 1.4 volts, each cellular battery is about 1.4 volts, you got 100 trillion cells, do the math. That's a lot of energy. And that energy is all channeled and conducted. The job of chemistry is to conduct and channel energy. It's to allow the body to work with energy. And all chemicals and molecules are energy. They're energy in different forms, in different frequencies. Like a radio, to say it's frequencies is very simplistic because it's really harmonics upon harmonics upon harmonics upon harmonics and octaves and octaves and octaves. It's ridiculously complex. That's just one cell. That's just one molecule, for that matter. Without having an efficient movement of energy, that's what chemistry does, that's what nutrition does. The mighty 90 essential nutrients, by the way, they're like pontoon bridges that allow energy to flow correctly. Without these pontoon bridges, energy is disrupted. Inflammation, by the way, disrupts the energy. Disruptions in energy, weak energy, low levels of bioenergy is how we die. It's how we age. It's how we get sick. It's how we break down. To keep the body running effectively, energy has to be produced effectively. And there's all kinds of ways to do it. In fact, every single thing we talk about here on the bright side is about focusing on energy. The medical model doesn't do that. The medical model will tell you about this symptom, that symptom, we'll stop this symptom, we'll stop, your gallbladder hurts, we'll take it out. If you understood energy, you would never take out an organ unless you had no other alternative, because you completely throw off the energy. Completely. Now, if that just means if you have had something taken out, that means you have to really focus on energy. Really focus on a hardcore. The medical model focuses on organs and parts and tissues, sometimes even cells. I was just reading today about these antibodies. That's the latest thing now, antibodies. Antibodies end in the word UMAB, antibody drugs, I should say. Antibody drugs end in the word, or in the suffix UMABs, and they're really hard to pronounce. UMAB stands for monoclonal antibody. Then MAB will say, MAB, monoclonal antibody. And these monoclonal antibodies are now being used for this current ridiculousness that's all everybody's hyped up about, if you know what I'm talking about. And I woke up this morning to read about a vaccine, too. 90% effective, 10% not effective. I wonder how much toxicity is associated with this vaccine. And why would anybody take a vaccine that's 90% effective to prevent an illness that only 2% of people get? Anyway, that's the crazy modern medical model world we live in. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back with more of The Bright Side right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number, and we have lines open for you. We'll get to you in just a moment. We've got Cindy Dale coming up at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about the sense of illness from a energy perspective. All kinds of crazy stuff going on in terms of energy sickness. And by energy sickness, I'm thinking of things like, or I should say psychic energy sickness, to distinguish it from physical energy sickness, although they're probably related. Things like depression and anxiety and insomnia and all that fear. We have a culture that's sick, not just... The sickness of the viral infection is nothing compared to the sickness we have from an emotional and psychic perspective, I believe. And social isolation is the last thing we need to be sticking into our culture at this point in time. We need to be learning how to get together, how to cooperate with each other, not to isolate from each other. These antibodies, by the way, are very fascinating drugs. These they call them monoclonal antibodies, and you're going to hear a lot about them. You know why you're going to hear a lot about them? Because they're ridiculously expensive. And you see them advertised all the time, so-called biologic drugs, these MAB drugs, monoclonal antibody drugs. Humira, that was one of the early ones. Stelara, Riopro, there's Singulair, there's probably there's probably 100 of them now. Remicade, and the reason you hear a lot about them is, number one, as far as drugs go, they're not as as gross. They don't cover as many biochemical reactions. When you take a drug, like an old-style drug, there's no way to control which chemistry is going to be affected specifically. You take a statin drug, you're going to change all kinds of chemistry in addition to lowering cholesterol. But with these drugs, these monoclonal antibodies, an antibody is an unbelievable molecule that's made on demand from cells, from the cells of the immune system, and they shoot down specific bacteria. They shoot down specific microbes. That's what our natural antibodies do. They shoot down enemies. And how do they do that? They hone in on a protein, on a part of the enemy. So the point being, what we've learned to do from the laboratory is make antibodies that can hone on to other proteins. Not just proteins from bacteria, from microbes, but proteins from, get ready for this, proteins from inflammatory factors. Interleukin, you may have heard of, cytokines. Not everybody, but some people have heard of cytokines because of the cytokine storm. These cytokines are molecules that have proteins just like a bacteria does, and what they figured out how to do is, through genetic technology and genetic engineering, is make antibodies specific for these inflammatory factors. Rather than killing the microbe, the antibodies kill the inflammatory factor or destroy it. The inflammatory factor that is destroyed in the particular antibody cocktail that's being promoted now is called interleukin-6. These are interleukin-6 inhibitors. There's other ones, interleukin-6 inhibitors. Focusing on interleukin-6 is a big strategy. And the reason you're hearing about these monoclonal antibodies is because they cost so much money. They cost $100,000 a year for to be on a monoclonal antibody program. Now you say, well, I have insurance, I don't cover that. Well, yeah, but everybody pays for it. That's one of the problems with this, with insurance, is these ridiculously high costs of these monoclonal antibody drugs that everybody's using now, and of course the drug companies all want in on it because it doesn't cost $100,000 to produce these things. That's the R&D cost, supposedly. It can't cost very much. I don't know how much it costs, but it can't be very expensive to produce these things. It's probably more expensive than ordinary drugs, but it's not anywhere near $100,000 a year when you think about what you're getting in terms of just the pure chemical. And that's why you're hearing a lot about these monoclonal antibodies. Regeneron, that's the famous one, and that's just a blend. Regeneron is a cocktail of monoclonal antibodies, all designed to shoot down the inflammatory factors. And while you probably don't have the same toxicity as you do with other ordinary pharmaceuticals, you're still throwing off the biochemistry of the body. And if you have rheumatoid arthritis and they give you a monoclonal antibody against the rheumatoid arthritis inflammatory factors, you still have the degeneration. You just don't feel the pain. And you don't even feel it as much because they don't work 100%. You still have the breakdown in the biochemistry. That's my problem with drugs. You haven't changed the energy. You haven't changed the dysfunction, the energetic dysfunction. With any drug, you haven't changed the problem. You just don't see it at best. But there's no way if you're attuned to things that you're eventually not going to see it, because you will. There's no way to get around it. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. Oh, we don't have a call. I thought we had a call here. Anyway, so monoclonal antibodies are just one part of this of the pharmaceutical approach that we're taking to this craziness. The second part is the vaccine, which I woke up this morning to read about it. Vaccine that's 90% effective, the stock market's going crazy. I'm wondering, what do you suppose is going to happen with this vaccine? Is it going to be you can't shop in the store without a vaccine? You can't fly without a vaccine that's 90% effective? How's everybody going to get distributed? Oh, the military's going to distribute it. That's lovely. This is a crazy, crazy situation that we have allowed to happen to us. And by we, I'm saying people who are not listening to the bright side, because probably a lot of you people listening to the bright side, probably you're not happy about this. But most people are looking for a vaccine, as if a vaccine, like a mask, is a magical force field that will keep you from getting sick. All along, we're still eating the same way we eat. not exercising the same way we not exercise, breathing the same way we breathe, smoking cigarettes, doing all the things we know we're not supposed to do as individuals and as a culture, but we want a vaccine. But we want the government to do something. I have not read the latest government, the plan, capital T, capital P, the plan that's going to be put in place next year probably. I have yet to read it, but I'm sure it involves everybody wearing masks, and I'm sure it involves vaccinations, whether forced or encouraged. I don't think it's going to be forced. I think it's going to be encouraged, though, and they have many ways to encourage. All right, there's Dorium. 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's see what Dorium has to say. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing well, actually. I have a question for my dad.
Yes, sir.
He takes aspirin, and he told me he gets severe belly cramps.
Well, tell him to stop taking the aspirin. Oh, he gets joint pain too?
Yes.
I'm going to let you go. Let's talk about it. Let's stay on the line. We have a bad connection there, Dorian. Or there. It just cleared up. Is he taking aspirin for the joints? What's he taking? Or for his heart?
No, he takes it as a blood thinner.
A blood thinner. Why did tell him to take vitamin E? Great blood thinner. Omega-3 fats, essential fatty acids also. Great blood thinner. The most important strategy, the best strategy for thinning the blood, you ready for this? Oxygen. Oxygen is under conditions of low blood oxygen, blood cells clump up. Everything clumps up. And of course, patching up the gut is also a major strategy. That's one of the things that's missed when all of these, thanks Dorian for your call, that's one of the things that's missed with these blood thinning strategies, medical blood thinning strategies, is the lipopolysaccharide role in coagulation. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. Patch up that leaky gut. Cindy Dale is coming up right after this. Don't go away. Okay, we are back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, and 24/7 on the archive page at brightsideben.com, also benfuchsarchives.com. We have a search engine up at benfuchsarchives.com. Thank you to Peter in the UK for setting that up. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products. Never any preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, water, silicone, vegetable oil, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want in any of our Truth Skin Health products, all formulated in my compounding pharmacy for wound healing. Wound healing and healing is beauty. And that's why we have over 1,400 4- and 5-star reviews, which you can check out at truthreview.com. Products can be purchased at truthtreatments.com. All right, I am excited to speak to our guest today. Cindy Dale is a prolific author and a psychic and a very plugged-in woman. She also has a 12-week program on the internet starting today, Advanced Radical Energy Medicine. Expand your personalized energetic toolkit to break free of unhealthy influences and restore vitality. It's all about energy, as we talk about almost every day on The Bright Side. Please welcome to The Bright Side, Cindy Dale. Hey, Cindy.
Hey, I'm really happy to be here. I feel energized, I should add.
Do you?
I do.
That is awesome, because it is all about energy. We talk about energy in all its many forms on this program, especially nutrition and especially chemistry, biochemistry. But psychic energy is very powerful as well, and I don't think we appreciate. I don't mean psychic woo-woo. I'm talking about psychology. Psychic energy is such an important part of good health, and we don't appreciate it.
Well, I don't think we terribly understand it. In fact, I didn't use the word psychic connected to psychology, for most of my life. But, when you look at it, they're sort of the same basic word.
Yeah, yep. Yeah,
and it's about
soul. It means soul.
Yeah, it's about your soul.
Yeah, and psychedelic means to reveal the soul. And psychology is the study of the soul. And psychic, I say, is the use of the soul. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. The leveraging of it, or the taking advantage of what it offers. And there is this element that we're not, like, for example, with this whole COVID thing, what about the psychological impact of being locked up or isolating or not being able to connect with a loved one who's dying? Can you imagine what that does?
Yes. It's so tough. I mean, there are numerous studies now, and these are psychological studies, that sense of being caught and stuck and trapped and the loneliness, can increase your ability, really, you're just going to get sick, is what the studies show.
Yeah. Basically.
you're going to feel horrible. You're going to feel emotionally devastated. And when your emotions take a nosedive, when you find yourself feeling lonely, depressed, anxious, you start to feel unloved, and it is far easier for the body to become sick, whether it's with an illness, that you're already carrying around. Say you already have heart dysfunctions or cancer, but you're also much less immune to catching diseases like viruses.
Because your inflammatory system is up.
Yes, exactly.
You're protected somehow. Tell me about this thing called, that you mentioned, a sense of wellness. I think that's very intriguing. Two words: sense and illness. A sense of illness or a sense of wellness.
Exactly. Well, and they are really two sides of the same coin, both wellness and illness. We just want to flip up the wellness side, not the illness side. So I work with psychic or subtle energy all the time. In fact, if you look at an object, 99.999% of it isn't solid. It's actually made out of subtle energies, quantum particles, and messages that we don't know how to measure that maybe have been absorbed into an object or data that it's giving off. So multiply what's happening with an object by, kind of what might be occurring with a person. We're just made out of fields of light and sound.
Fields.
Most of which 99.99% of them are subtle or immeasurable.
Yeah, we're fields. We're a force field. That's very well said. Everything's just a force field. So when you look at an object, can you pick up on where that object's been or what kind of energies it's interacted with?
Most of the time. In fact, in the psychic world, that's called psychometry. You hold it or you look at an object, you get a sense. Here's our word sense. You're really getting a psyche or psychic or spidey sense of the object. And you can either feel or kind of where it's been or what somebody felt like when they held it, or you can get a vision, or maybe you get a message. Those are all the different ways that we relate to psychic information.
Is there an element of stillness, mental stillness, that has to be employed so you can receive that? I mean, does our minds, the fact that we're thinking all the time or mental all the time, does that take us away from the ability to sense those things?
It does. It's like that old phrase, you want to listen for the still, small voice, but you also want to pay attention not just to voices, or images that flash in your mind, but what your body's feeling. When somebody's isolated, let's go back to the loneliness, the isolation, I can't go, do what I want to do. You're still not cut off from the world. You might not be in a really healthy place emotionally, or maybe even physically, you're eating too many Twinkies, right? Which isn't helping your immune system. But you turn on the news, you call a friend who might themselves be struggling, or you just kind of feel into the neighborhood, and people are so anxious and depressed right now, you're still going to absorb what's out there in the environment, even if you're alone in an apartment or a condo or a house.
Is the news an anxiety-generating device? I mean, is it like what we consider to be current events and things that are important for us to know? Is it really nothing more than just pure anxiety generation?
I think usually it is, because that's the nature of news. The nature of news is that we're supposed to learn something new, and it's couched in a way to make us pay attention. So news, whether it's placed by PR firms or political campaigns or whatever it is sensational in nature, because that's the way that we, it gets attention. So and it's sort of like how we're biologically wired, too. We're biologically wired to pay attention to negativity. Because the positive... we're hardwired. The positive isn't going to hurt us. It's not going to be the saber-toothed tiger that jumps on us.
Yeah, that's right.
We pay attention to the negative.
We're the descendants of ancestors who freaked out.
Yes.
They survive, right? So it's built into us to freak out because our ancestors were their descendants. We're the descendants of worrywarts, of anxiety, of anxious people.
But generations and generations, eons ago, yes, we were programmed to freak out if something could be dangerous, but we were also operating from a different neurological system. There's two neurological systems. There's what's called the analog. It's really low and slow and is deep inside of the body. Then there's the digital, which we're operating from, and everything in digital is sensational. It's like this, time,
binary.
enhanced. It's binary, not connected or whole. So, okay, we're thousands of years ago. A storm could do us in. We could lose sight of the elk, that we need to hunt, or, this or that or the other thing. But we were also interconnected with nature and with each other. So we could get dreams. We could get psychic visions. We relied on, kind of what a stranger might tell us, or a sign of a power animal.
Yeah. Do you ever hear the Mutant Message Down Under? Have you read that?
Love the book. Love the book,
right?
Decades ago.
Yeah, decades ago. All right, hang on. We've got Cindy Dale coming up. We want to talk about your 12-week program that begins today. Cindy Dale on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll return right after this. On the bright side, talking to Cindy Dale. Cindy, you have a program coming up, or starting today, actually. Why would Advanced Radical Energy Medicine? Why would somebody be interested? Who are you appealing to? Because
they want to gain tools to keep themselves well and be who they really are in the world. That's who it would appeal to. Just about anybody, I think, can gain from learning some energetic tools, how to define what's happening in the subtle realms, how to determine what kind of messages you're sending into the world. That's why people respond to you certain ways. How to do psychic healing for yourself and for other people. You can be a beginner, you can be advanced, because again, at least 99% whatever of reality is psychic or invisible. So isn't it sort of on each of us to figure out how to operate that way, how to know what we know and how to do something with it?
How much more powerful would you be in your mundane life if you had those tools?
Incredibly. I mean, what would I say, 1,000 times more?
Right. I mean, pretty much anything. Money, health, physical health, relationship, everything that we need. Isn't it everything that we need and everything that we think we need, everything that we want in life, it's all about these kinds of energy ideas? It's all based on that.
It is. It's all about understanding subtle energy and then getting on top of it. So, I mean, there's studies that, kind of start to get to this through science, like the Institute of Heart Math, that talks about if you hold appreciation in your heart, you're going to be healthier, you're going to make more money, you're going to have more friends. If you're optimistic, well, those are just beginning portals into really working with subtle energies. What about holding what I call gamma consciousness, a way of achieving really pretty much a guru level of status, or doing psychic surgery, which is eliminating negative templates, maybe even creating physical problems for you and activating positive templates that could help you get well. I mean, I'm not special. Any of us can use these tools. Once we learn about them, we can apply them.
I think you said something very powerful there. So when you use the word template, it's not like it's magical woo. It's all template. It's all like a pattern thing that we're working with, and it's like seeing the patterns. There's nothing woo about it, really. It's just patterns, and it's just routines that we get into. No?
Yeah, they're just routines. They're patterns. They happen to be less, able to be measured, but everything is based on subtle patterns. I mean, even our negative thoughts, you've got to go underneath the negative thoughts. Why do we keep having negative thoughts? Yeah, we've got biological programs, but we also have subtle programs, ideas we picked up without knowing it from our family, in the womb, from our culture. So all of that's in us. We'd better darn start figuring out what is in us, managing us and controlling us, because the slightest shift can make an enormous positive change in our life.
Yeah, not only that, but control or be controlled. It's like your memes are like viral patterns. They're like memes, right? They're viruses in a sense. They're patterns of behavior that have been infiltrated, and we don't know that they're there.
Exactly. We don't know that they're there except for what's in our lives.
Yeah, that's how you know. It's like a mirror, kind of. Like the world's a mirror for your memes.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah. And, we talked a little bit about the sense of an illness. So I used to be the type of person, I would get on the phone with a friend who had a cold, and I had a cold. Now, you can't really catch a cold, through the air, or can you? You can if you really understand patterning and subtle energies. I was raised in a way that my way of fitting in my family was to just feel everybody's feelings and be the one who was constantly sick. So that was running me until I figured out, wait a minute, I can't possibly just catch colds through the air unless I have a pattern that's making that so. Change the pattern, doesn't happen anymore.
What do you do when you're feeling like you're getting run down or sick? How do you deal with it from a psychic or psychological? And I won't say psychology. I won't say psychological level. How do you deal with it when you're feeling like you're getting something?
Yeah, we're looking for a new word, aren't we? Okay,
yeah,
I'm going to tell you how I dealt with it when I actually got COVID months and months ago. I've been traveling for baseball with my youngest son. He's in college ball. I came home. We'd hit all the hot spots, but nobody knew that they were the hot spots for the virus. I woke up the next morning, and I'm like, I do not feel well. This is bad. Whatever this is bad. And I said, well, you know what? I can't afford to get sick. I ran energy up from the earth through my body. I asked my body to take in whatever subtle or psychic elements it needed, fire, water, this, that, and the other thing. I took my vitamin D, I took my vitamin C, and then I just said, you know what, whatever this is, I don't need it, and I flushed it. I literally just felt myself through my heart go, no.
Wow,
I just
that's great.
didn't want it. I flushed it. As the day went on, I felt better and better. That night, I just thought, I'm going to wake up in the morning. I've got to feel good. And is it magic? It's not magic. It's like the control of the subtle energy. You change
your
subtle energy. You change your physical energy.
But you're magic. I mean, that is magic. We're magic. We just don't understand how magical we are, right? That is the definition of magic.
I had antibodies. I did have.
You had
COVID.
antibodies. How magical is that? Come on now. Come on now. That's some good magic. Whoever's pulling that one off, whoever put that system together, that's some serious magic there. So how about if you feel like emotionally, kind of like an emotional thing, same idea, like you say no, or do you feel it? Or
okay. Well, the first thing I do actually, if I'm feeling emotional or like it doesn't quite feel right, I don't feel quite like myself emotionally, I first check in with myself, like my own inner self, my soul, and I say, how many of these feelings are actually my own? What percentage? Yeah, this is a really big one. I used that for my kids growing up, and I'd say, okay, just ask, what percentage are your feelings? Most of the time when my boys were really out of sorts, they go, 80% not mine, or 60% not mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Then you just say, nope, not mine. Send it to the person's higher self, whatever you use for their soul. You don't want to just sock them one, right? Mm-hmm. But you can process feelings that are your own. You cannot work with feelings that do not belong to you.
That's right. That's great. I love that your son's a baseball player, and I play baseball too. And there's so much of this psychology in baseball. If you want to be, does he take advantage of some of these ideas as an athlete?
Yeah, and his friends do. One of my best stories. This summer, I mean, they're home from, 6-7 months. All the baseball guys are over here. I built a gym in my garage, so made us very famous. And he just couldn't get his velocity up. I went really early one morning to work with him and his coach, and I felt this energy in front of his his stomach. And I said, you got something blocking you. He goes, well, what is it, Mom? I can feel it, but I don't know what it is. I tuned in. I said, it's ancestral, negative energy. They didn't succeed. They were all baseball players, too, but they never made it. I said, so let's just clear it. You ask for help to clear it. It's not that hard to clear things either. I want to say that message. Boom, we cleared it. 8 miles an hour faster, his next fastball.
And how long? In like a second?
Oh, in a second. Yeah, in a second. He's throwing 96 now. He's throwing 96.
That's pretty incredible. How old is he?
He's 21.
So is he getting a lot of attention?
Yeah, he is. He is. Uh-huh.
Oh, that's awesome. And so does he give credit? Does he know enough to give credit to that? Or I mean, you must have been working with him as a kid. What's that?
Oh, yeah. I worked with him as a kid. I worked with him with his coaches. His private coaches, started using my techniques.
That's
well,
awesome.
let's just put it this way. Over Thanksgiving break, I think I have 2 of his pitching friends coming over to work on their pitches. So.
No, come on. From this whole psychic kind of perspective that you're talking about.
It's energy. It's energy. I don't have to use the word with them, psychic.
Yeah.
I use the word frequency, positive and negative frequencies.
Yeah.
frequencies that match you, frequencies that don't. What do you do when you're out there? You throw a bad
That's
ball.
awesome.
You can feel the coaches feeling negative. You know what? You don't have to take that on. So I empower them.
That is awesome. So that's as practical as it gets. Athletics and money and success and fame in the profane world and the mundane secular world. That's as practical as you can be.
Well, like you said, it's magic, but it's not woo-woo.
Yeah.
Real.
It is. It's real magic. Yeah, magic is just changing things with a certain consciousness or will, intent or will. That's all it is, right?
Yeah, consciousness. It's intention. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. You must love all the stuff that's coming out with quantum physics, and you must use that a lot.
Well, it explains it. I mean,
explains it, right? Right.
When I was a kid, I saw colors. I talked to angels. I did this and that, and I was just weird or satanic or whatever it is.
Now you're a quantum scientist. Now you're a quantum physicist.
Yeah. Now
Cindy,
I'm respected.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. So, how do people get a hold of this course, real quick? It's just CindyDale.com.
They can go to my website, CindyDale.com. Radical Energy Medicine's on there, or the Shift Network. It's put together by the Shift Network. Great organization.
Yes, they do wonderful work. Cindy, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks, Cindy.
Bye.
Okay, take care. Cindy Dale, her website is CindyDale.com, and you might want to check out her Advanced Radical Energy Medicine 12-week program, CindyDale.com. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side, friends. I am Pharmacist Ben. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you later, folks. Bye for now.